Hey y'all. Welcome back to Andy's Little Homestead. As you can tell by my change in hats, winter is coming. We have a big problem. My old plow truck needs a transmission. Some of y'all may remember when I had this thing pulled up here to get old Debbie running. And as I was doing that, I lost the transmission in it. I could be upset about it, but at least it waited until we were done pushing snow for the year. But now that time of the year is rapidly approaching, we gotta fix this problem. We probably have a few weeks before the first snowfall, but I wanna get this all the way done, ready to go, make sure I can count on this truck this winter. Now there's two types of people who need a transmission in the world. Ones who take their vehicle to a reputable, licensed, dealer authorized shop, and the ones who go to their buddy Dan's house to yank a transmission out of one of his square bodies. I think this is the part where I'm supposed to say, stay hillbilly, my friends. So here we are at a magical place called my buddy Dan's house. And here at my buddy Dan's house, Dan has a plow truck that's very similar to mine. It's got the turbo 350 transmission with confirmed 60,000 miles on it. It should be good enough to get us through the winter. He's got all kinds of crap. A lot of square bodies. What are you gonna do? It happens. But this truck, transmission transfer case combination is almost the exact same as what I got. It's a little bit newer, but it should match up just fine. As you can see, he graciously placed it up on a very stable platform down there for me to get this out. That's step one, he already did it. So for full disclosure, I've dropped transmissions and square bodies before. I haven't dropped an automatic out of one. So there may be some trial and error, but I'm gonna go ahead and run through all the steps, at least briefly, so anybody doing this project can do it. If I make a mistake, you might learn from it. That's the way smart people learn things, other people's mistakes. So anyway, let's get everything set up. There we go. This is our basic tool set up. We got our land plywood. Definitely important working in the dirt because we got to have a jack under it. And then just socket set, we got some ratcheting wrenches, some random crap, and the old impact. This job's going to be easier than your mother. So first thing on the list, we're going to drop the drive shafts. The slip yoke on this is a little tight, but we should be able to pop it forward. Now we got to do the rear. We'll just undo the clips down there and then slide this out. Well, it appears as though our tail shaft seal was working and now it is absent. So from here, we're gonna drain the rest of the fluids out. Probably could have done that before the drive shafts, but I didn't think about it. So on the transfer case, that looks like a drain plug. And on the transmission, there is no drain plug. So that one you gotta loosen, let it spill, and then cover yourself in transmission fluid. Is how it usually goes. So we'll go ahead and do all that. I did forget to bring my drip pan. I'm sure Dan has one around here. I don't know if it's ever been said publicly, but 80% of backyard mechanicking is just looking around for stuff. Dang it, that won't work. There we go, brand new drip pan. Never mind, those look important. We'll find something. All right, so we got everything drained out and we have committed 0 environmental violations. Next on the list, we got a bunch of little stuff that's got to come off. We'll run through it quickly. We're gonna pull this plate off of here. That goes to the transfer case, but we're gonna need some wiggle room, so we'll get that out of the way. There we go. The more I'm digging into this, the more that I'm seeing it's not exactly the same as what I got, because my transfer case shifter don't move like that. So I don't know how compatible all this is gonna be, but we're just gonna keep tearing stuff off and see how it ends up shaking out. Up here, we got a wire. I assume it's to like an indicator light on the dash. Again, not something my truck has, but pull that off. We got to pull our transmission cooler lines and our starter over here. There we go. Nice and safe right there. Not hanging on any wires. Got a little vacuum line here. That looks important. Take that off. Have I mentioned I don't really know automatic transmissions? Our shifter linkage up here has to come off. Then we got to pull the speedometer cable off the tail shaft of the transfer case. All right, so I think I got all the little things that are attached to it. Now we're about to start moving some big stuff. So up here we've got our torque converter. It's bolted to the flywheel. We've got to break that connection, but in order to do that, we've got to access these bolts back here. So we're going to unbolt what we can reach, turn the engine over by hand, and get the rest of them. So I don't know if it's the same on all engines that made up with this transmission or if it's just the 350. But if you turn this around to where the bolts on the flywheel line up in this little slot, you can get an impact in there. Then you just grab the next bolt, bring it around. So now you've got 3 main connections left between really all of this stuff. Your transmission cross member right here, your bell housing bolts to the back of the engine, and your engine mounts down here on the frame. You start messing with any of these right now, things are gonna get a little bit squirrely, so there's a couple things we need to do. How long has this engine been sitting here? There's a freaking vault in it. Hadn't seen one of those in a hot minute. Anyway, we're gonna have to tilt the engine back to slide the transmission and transfer case out. And the distributor cap on the HEI type can end up hitting the firewall, so we'll get in there and pull the cap off. Didn't really move it much, but just that little bit. That's the only real spot that'll catch as it drops down back that way. So now from here, we're gonna use a fancy tool that Dan left for me. We got a transmission jack. It's got knobs to adjust how much it's tilting to account for the angle, and then these little guys are adjustable. I assume so you don't smash your pan into crinkly metal. So let's get it all set up under here. Well, this is fun. Jack all the way up. We got missing it by that much. I guess we gotta lower this whole thing by 1 tire. Get out of there. Easy. So with those 4 bolts out, this cross member is not on the frame anymore. All the weight's being taken by the jack. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to carefully and slowly let that valve out. We're going to let it drop just a little bit. That's going to give us access to all those bell housing bolts. Dang it, y'all, there was one thing that I forgot. There's always one thing, and in this case, this is a dipstick tube for the transmission. That just presses in place. We should be able to get it out with some pliers. There we go. So we got it mostly out, but I just remembered, I'm pretty sure there's a bracket on one of the bell housing bolts that holds the rest of the tube in place, which is why it was fighting me so much. She'll come out the rest of the way when we pull those bolts. You know, probably. All right, so the last thing that we had to do is we needed to support the engine. So I put the ratchet strap around the frame and under the oil pan. That way it doesn't just go knocking all the way back. I ended up having to readjust that jack, pulled the cross member out of the way to make sure that we're all good. And now finally we're ready to pull these bell housing bolts. So we had a total of 6 bolts in there, 2 on each side and then 2 up at the top. To get those out, it was a combination of lots of extensions and taking advantage of the Michigan rust holes. It wasn't that bad at all, actually. My battery's almost dead, but let's see if we can drop it and slide it out. Don't fall on me. Don't fall on me. We're out. All right. Now, of course, we need to be back up on that 3rd tire because we can't clear it with it on the transmission jack. So I'm gonna plug my phone into the truck and lift her back up. All right, y'all. We got our transmission. Ain't she beautiful? Total working time on that was probably about 4.5 hours. Probably more than it should be, but hey, I'm not a mechanic. And second, I was working on the ground. That's not fun. The transmission jack definitely helped out a lot. I highly recommend it. It's gonna make things a lot easier on the install too, because I'll be able to adjust the angle without like shimming it or wrestling with it, at least in theory. So because of that, I'm stealing it. Sorry, Dan, I'm taking it with me. But every time you take on a new project, you learn something new. And every time you do it after that, it gets easier and easier. So I'm happy to have this transmission. We'll have it in the plow truck soon. As always, I hope y'all enjoyed and I hope you learned something. I love you. God bless. Dan, if you're watching, all the little pipe fittings out of that bucket are sitting in that U-Haul truck. That's where I put them. And now, we get to do it all again. There we go. Much faster that time.